we will learn about language processors, also called as language translator. Imagine that a person knows only English, but another person knows only Gujarati or Hindi. They cannot communicate directly, so they need a translator. Similarly, a computer understands only machine language, that is zeros and ones, while programmers write programs in languages like C, C++, Java, Python, PHP, etc. Therefore, we need a language processor or language translator. So, what is the definition of language processor or language translator? Language processor is a system software or a one kind of program that takes one form of input program that is written in one language as input and converts it into the another language. Here, the input program is called as the source language, and the output program that is converted is called as the target language. Which machine converts source language into target language? That is translator, also called as language processor. If we write a program in Python language, the Python translator, that is language processor, converts Python program into the form that the computer can understand and execute. Now, one important point we need to understand that language processor not only translate programs but also detect and report errors during translation. If there is a mistake in the program, the translator informs the programmer. Now, what can be source language? Source language can be of two types: low level language and high level language. Low level language means assembly language, and high level language such as C, C++, Python, Java, PHP, etc. Now, what is target language? Target language can be machine language or low level language. Low level language, that means assembly language, and machine language, that means zeros or ones. There are three types of language translators: compiler, interpreter, and assembler. Now let's discuss the first type of language translator called a compiler. A compiler converts an entire high-level language program into machine code at once. Entire high-level language program into machine code at once. That means the compiler reads the entire program and checks for error. If errors are found, the compiler stops and displays error message. The programmer must correct all errors. If errors are corrected, that means if no errors are found, the compiler converts the whole program into machine code. Now let's discuss the second type of language translator called an interpreter. An interpreter is a language translator that converts and executes a program line by line. It reads one statement, translates it, executes it, and then moves to the next statement. Languages such as Python, Ruby, Basic commonly use interpreters. First, the programmer writes the source code in a high-level language that is called Python or Ruby or Basic. Now, the source code is given to the interpreter. Unlike a compiler, the interpreter does not translate the entire program at once. Instead, it processes the code line by line at a time. That is, one line at a time. Now, after translating each line, if the interpreter checks whether that line contains any error. If any error is found, the interpreter immediately stops execution and displays an error message. The programmer must correct the error before the remaining lines can be executed. If no error is found, that means if programmer has solved the error, the interpreter continues translating and executing the next line until the entire program is completed. So, if in that line, if error is not found, that line will be converted into machine. Likewise, all the remaining lines will be executed. Now, the third type of translator is called as an assembler. It converts low-level language or assembly code language to machine code. The assembler is fastest translator among the three because assembly language is closer to machine code. Here the source code is assembly language. An assembler reads the assembly instructions and it converts those instructions into machine code that the computer can execute. What is machine code here? Zeros and ones. There are two types of assembler, single pass assembler and multi-pass assembler. What is single pass assembler? If assembler converts source code into machine code in one scan, then that assembler is called as single pass assembler. And if the given assembler takes multiple scans to convert source code into machine code, then that assembler is called as multi-pass assembler. So now to conclude language translators help computers understand programs written by humans. A compiler translates the whole program at once. An interpreter translates line by line, and an assembler converts assembly language into machine language or machine code. All three, compiler, interpreter, and assembler, acts as bridge between the programmer and the computer.